The Lobkowitz family is very involved in making art available to the world. And it's been quite a journey for us because we returned to this country hoping to recover our family roots and to be able to return after the Velvet Revolution of 1989. And after participating in the restitution and the objects being returned, we wanted to find a way to make this art and this cultural heritage, these castles, these art collections, available to the world, because this isn't the Lobkowitz family collections anymore. We are custodians of culture. We're the guys with the keys opening the doors. Yes, they were in our family. We're proud of it. We want to show it. But it's part of our world, and it needs to be connected with our world. Our family is a Czech noble family that dates back over 700 years, and we were involved in three main areas. We were first military men and ended up on the right side of most of the wars we fought in, so we were rewarded in that regard. The second was we were chancellors. Politically, we were quite important. From the middle of the 16th century, we became chancellors of Bohemia, which means we ran the kingdom for the Habsburg emperors, and the Habsburgs thought we did a good job, so they made us princes of the Holy Roman Empire and bestowed other titles and other properties on us. And maybe the third thing is that we made a lot of strategic marriages, which created alliances and, of course, brought more property and more influence. But perhaps the most important part of our history was that we were avid patrons of the arts. Throughout history, we were collecting and accumulating beautiful things and supporting artists. And maybe the most important example is the seventh Prince Lobkowitz, who lived from 1772 until 1816. He was one of the main patrons of Beethoven. This particular ancestor loved music, was a very fine amateur musician, and actually bankrupted our family in one generation because of his love of music and spending on people like Beethoven. So, for example, Beethoven received a stipend from him, a sort of annual salary. And Lobkowitz also provided his palaces, his staff, his team, his carriages, his orchestras as places for Beethoven to practice and for the musicians to come for performances. And the relationship with Beethoven was very close. Beethoven dedicated to the seventh Prince Lobkowitz the Eroica Symphony, and it was world premiered in our palace in 1804 in Vienna. And Beethoven also dedicated other very important works, including the Fifth Symphony, the Pastoral, the Sixth Symphony, the Opus 18 string quartets, and the Triple Concerto. So when we talk about our family having gone bankrupt in that generation, we always say we think it was money very well spent. Our family today, so we returned in 1990 to the Czech Republic. My background, very shortly, I'm a Harvard grad from 1984, and I studied European history and music, wondering what I was ever going to do with that. And then, of course, in 1989, we're all watching our television sets and seeing the seismic changes. And so we all wanted to come back, of course, to the roots of our family and be back here. We had zero expectations. We had no papers. I didn't know, none of us knew what we owned. My grandfather left with his hat and his coat being chased out by the communists, and he was lucky to get out. So we didn't really even think about how the restitution was going to work, the laws, they were talking about them, but this is 1990. We didn't have the financial underpinnings anymore. We only had millions of dollars of broken property and stuff scattered to the wind in over 100 locations around the country. How are we going to talk to people? We didn't speak the language. How do we persuade them that we want to come back? They said, "What are you doing here? You know, America, why would you ever want to move back here?" And all of these things, what are your motivations? I remember we had these family meetings, and I really wanted to return. And the bottom line for us as a family anyway was, what would we tell our grandchildren if we didn't even try? Most of our places fell in great disrepair. So we had to make decisions with properties that we could recover. Certain things we gave away, certain things we sold, and we concentrated on a few things that we felt we could do. And we're still doing it 30 years later. So it wasn't something that sort of overnight or very clear, but the damages were great. And so that's been, it's the reason why I don't have much hair either. It was and continues to be a big challenge. There were all sorts of challenges and things happening, but there were some very inspirational people that we met. There were some people that did not want to give our things back, and we had to fight hard for those things. But I think we were consistent, and we said, we do want to be here long term. People didn't believe us or understand it at the beginning. And again, here we are back to the long term thing. It's now been 33 years. Now people know we're serious. But in the early days, and I understand that, but you have to live by your actions. You have to do things that people will see, that are real, that give you meaning in your life. And doing these kinds of things for us is extremely important. It's not our heritage, it's world heritage. It isn't just about damage to property, of course. It's about the damage to people's souls, and that's the worst. So it's attitude. The minute the attitudes are changing, everything changes. So we're most concerned about that, finding people that care about these things, but see the greater role of it, rebuilding communities, bringing people back who left communities maybe because there weren't job opportunities or because there was environmental disasters or because, the families were persecuted by the communists, whatever reason. People that have roots in places generally want to go back there and they care about it, like us. We're in the 21st century, and even in our family history, things have always changed and evolved. Nothing ever stays the same. And while, House of Lobkowitz, our motto is sharing the past, but creating the future. So we convened a conference at the Lobkowitz Palace called Non-Fungible Castle. And basically what it was this way of looking at how the art world can connect with blockchain technology and how tech and art can come together and get to know each other a bit better. And we did some art there. We created some art forms with NFTs, with digital technology, bringing in some of the experts around the world, bringing in museum curators, lawyers, looking at the legal aspects of that. So it was to start this dialogue and bridge technology with art. We live in this fractured world and in this world of sound bites, and everything is getting shorter. And it's something that we miss. We miss the time. I think we all do, and we don't know it. And our family thinks in terms of generations. We're 20 generations and still going. But we think of ourselves as a 20-generation family, but first-generation cultural entrepreneurs. And what I mean by that is we're taking the collections now in the 21st century in a different way. So we are not living in castles anymore. We were refugees. We left, the Nazis kicked us out, we came back, and then the communists did, and we were away for 50 years from our country where we had been for 700 years. So a blip in that time scale, but still very, very important. And we have to think generationally. We have to think for the long term. Anything that's good needs to be cooked. It's like a good stew. You can't cook it too quickly. The castles and the art collections, we believe, will survive another 700 years. Good things come to those who are patient. And I think we have to be patient. We had a wonderful visit from Yo-Yo Ma, the famous American cellist. He came out to the Dvorak Birthhouse. He'd never been out there. And I'll never forget, he talked about our fractured world that we live in, but he said, you can make the world better by listening. And he said what Dvorak always did, and when he was in America, he did the same thing. He told his students, don't compose like me, but listen to everything that's around you. And around you is the inspiration. And By doing that in America, he helped America find their own music in the late 1890s. He was brought over for that purpose. All of us need each other. We need each other more than ever. And we have to be open to each other and hear other ideas and talk with each other. And this is why I love music, why I love art, because it's a bridge builder. We need it for our soul. We need it every day. Our children from kindergarten are drawing a picture. It's our expression. Art is something that's in all of us in our own way. It's our way of expressing our individuality. It's our way of expressing who we are, why we're here, our purpose, our meaning in life. It's fundamental to everything. It's like air.